Welcome back to another episode of Did I Stutter with Drew Lynch. And today my guest is the hilarious Fahim Anwar. Do you want Anwar or Anwar?
You know,
I said it both ways.
Yeah, I take both.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's so nice and progressive in this like very...
I want to make it easy for the person attempting the ethnic name. Just I appreciate the try. I go, you're in the ballpark. Let's rock and roll. Just bring me up.
Fahik Sanjay is...
Yeah, go close enough. That always happens too. It's funny, like an MC doesn't know you. Like when you're a younger comic, you know, and you have like an ethnic name, they always go, what's your name? Okay, say it again. Okay, Anwar? Okay, Anwar. Fahim Anwar. Anwar, yeah? Fahim okay, got it. And then I see them on stage, and then I can see them have the Christ, because like they get to it, and you see their brain breaking in half, and I know that they're trying to nail it, and then something absurd comes out of their mouth. And I can see them die inside, because I know they tried really hard.
Yeah.
But it's just such a foreign name in every sense of the word to them. And then they go, I'm sorry, and I go, that's okay. And there's no winning when because you can't go up there and be like, actually, it's because the audience doesn't give a shit. And then they're like, oh, this guy's pompous.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to win the audience over. Like, no, he butchered my name. I was just trying to correct it.
I did a show one time at a what was the taco place that I did, Mel? Remember that? Do you remember that? I did a taco. It was a fucking in Hollywood. It was
Quit bragging, dude. Okay.
Yeah,
I've been trying to get on that show. I can only do burrito places. Who books the taco place?
Who books a more delicate Mexican cuisine.
You do taquitos and then burrito and then tacos the prime time.
I can't remember, but it was a show for comics. No audience is there. They're just kind of there in the background, and it was like I think it was like a Baja Fresh or something. You know?
No, really?
Anywhere. Yeah.
That corporate is getting into comedy.
Man, no,
they can't be a Baja Fresh.
No,
that'd be like Chipotle doing comedy.
But like not as good.
Yeah.
It's do you remember the name of it? It was like
wasn't it Redondo? No, not Redondo.
It's in Hollywood.
It's not Ponchos.
It's in Hollywood. It was not Ponchos. I've done Ponchos a bunch. It makes it sound like I just do Mexican restaurants.
This is just the comics in us trying to figure it out. Like nobody else gives a shit
no one cares
about this taco show.
Yeah.
But that's how much like a quality show, even if it's at a taco place. And what's funny is that's not the only taco comedy show. They used to have Best Fish Taco in Silver Lake or Los Feliz, and that was like a hot show.
I had Pink Taco. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Martin used to do shows there.
Yeah, that upstairs.
Yeah.
It was a very bougie Sunset Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, you needed like a list, and then there was like these. I mean, they were good shows.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just did a show in Hollywood. I think it was 2019 or something. And there was a guy who he went on stage afterwards. I introduced him. I can't remember how it was just slightly wrong. It wasn't even, and he was like real upset about it. Do you remember this? Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. The point is,
you couldn't remember it then, and you couldn't
I
remember
couldn't remember it now. Yeah.
If you couldn't remember it then, like 1 minute after, I doubt time is gonna help you. Well, I mean, what a cruel joke that'd be if it just came to you with such clarity this many years later. No. Why couldn't I access this?
Yeah, dude. So he was very upset by it. He was just, and he spent most of his set,
about it?
yeah, talking about it. And it was like, I think he thought it was like a funny thing, and then it got like really, really angry very fast, and then I was just awkward, and he said something, and he goes, "It's this." I remember very specifically. I'll never forget this. This part I won't forget. He goes, "It's this name," and I don't remember the name, and it was so quiet, and I'm like from here to Mel, like it's very close, and I just went, "I'm sorry," and he goes, "Yeah, well."
He was over it after that, or
he just went.
That's all I wanted. I just wanted an apology.
But it's just awkward for it to be so
else.
silent. I'm like leaving the stage and like leaving the whatever, and then it's just like I'm so close and I'm watching a set and I was just like, I'm sorry, and he was like.
Anyways, and then he just like straight into his thing.
Yeah,
I just learned very quickly that whenever that happens, just you are whoever they said. Like it's not even about. They're not there for your name.
Yeah.
Especially when nobody knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And you're
You haven't even
years from
performed
people
yet.
knowing who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
just like you're there to see if your jokes work and try that out.
Yeah.
So it's best to just like gloss over the butchered name.
Yeah, of course. And they're like, you haven't even performed yet, so you don't want to spend a lot of time being like, no, like let me like spend all of that likability.
Yes.
Just talking about how like, being incredibly unlikable.
Yeah, save that for a super offensive joke. You know what I mean? That because you need that goodwill.
Yeah.
Don't burn it up top.
Yeah. Which I've noticed, like, I mean, your comedy is never like it I don't think that it's ever been like not polarizing, but I've seen so much of your comedy, and I don't think that there's ever something where I was like, even as someone who was looking at it as a non-comic, I was like, I think it's just like objectively in between the lanes of, you know.
That's cool you say that. I mean, that's kind of my ethos, or I try to be that way. I'm not super one way or the other. I just care about jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because sometimes I just want to service whatever the idea or the joke is. And sometimes that makes me seem left-leaning in a joke. Sometimes it makes me seem right-leaning.
Right.
And it's interesting when you put these clips up on social media because like I might get I think I posted one bit, like an abortion joke or whatever. It's just like a joke. It was like,
yeah,
I'm not super one way or I'm not like super, But then a bunch of right-wing people just like rant. There's like Bible quotes in a lot of the bios and like, you know, American flags and the emojis. And I'm like, okay, interesting. That's not what I was like trying to garner, but like, so they followed me. But then like 3 days later, I have some like 9/11 joke or whatever. And then like I lose all, you know? So it's like, they think that I'm a pundit instead of you know what I mean? They think I'm like Sean Hannity rather than a comedian who's just like hopping all over the place. I'm just loyal to the joke.
That's actually
I
can appreciate that loyalty though.
Yeah, I'm a jester. I don't have any real hard and fast opinions. Yeah. I'm like, what's the funniest joke? Okay, how do I gotta deliver this? And however I come across, that's secondary.
Yeah.
It's all about servicing the joke.
That's great. I mean, when did you discover that was what you were going to do, or that was something you were already doing? Like, because I think as we're coming up, a lot of us are figuring out how we're going to attack it, you know. And it's like I love watching just comics work. Like I like watching like Sebastian or Bill or any of these guys who they put it through their lens, and you're like, wow, like it's crazy. So when is it that you found, like, when is it that part clicked for you, and when is it that it became so clear that what you just said, which is servicing the joke, that was where you had your loyalty?
I mean, I guess I've always kind of been that, and also like the political thing and just like playing it down the middle sort of, or optically. Yeah. I think I always have good intentions, and I never try to purposely rock the boat. I'm never like, check out this third rail that I'm touching. Yeah. I think whenever I perform, I always try to have this element of play, and that I don't totally mean everything that I say. Yeah. So I think that's why, even though I may do something that is an edgy joke sometimes, people know that it's just purely for the joke. But I've always kind of been that way in stand-up. But then this thing happened, you know, we talked about it when we were in Austin, just how the media landscape and comedy and entertainment has shifted. And the way we used to get on as comics were these very traditional means. There was maybe like 3 pipes. There was Comedy Central, there was HBO, there was this blueprint. And you couldn't get seen by anybody unless you fit this traditional paradigm. And it was part being good at comedy and part casting. Yeah. So like you had to be funny, but then there was a big element of, okay, yeah, he probably appeals to this demo. It's like picking stocks a little bit. And it's part, are they funny, and part, do we think we can make money off of this?
Is there something more?
It's an assumption.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's an investment. It's like they look at it like there's what's the next thing that comes from
And the
that.
trouble is, we just operate in funny. We're in comedy clubs. We just know who's funny. But that was so kind of far down the list for a lot of these suits in the traditional model that like hilarious stand-ups were getting glossed over. They weren't even getting a shot because they didn't fit in the casting paradigm of old, the way it used to be. So I just never, this is a very recent development. It's shifting with like social media and YouTube and all that, but I was still playing that old game because that was all that was there. So when I was coming up in that era, I just never fit in that. Like they never picked me to be like, I never got that Comedy Central half hour, because this was the thing to do to like get on back in the day. Yeah. You would do like a late night. You would do a Comedy Central half hour, and then you would do maybe a Comedy Central hour, or you would do a Netflix. And so that just wasn't happening for me. But I was doing just regular, I don't know, I think this thing happened once Instagram, Instagram Reels, Facebook, TikTok, and all that, and YouTube became a viable distribution stream. I was just like, all right, they're already not picking me to do this. I'm already I was like 18 years before I was like 18 years in when this kind of shift happened. I think like when Schultz started putting this stuff out.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, let me just put my shit out there. I'm giving up. It's kind of like giving up this traditional method or dream and going full throttle to social media.
Yeah.
Then it was just capturing what I'm already doing in the comedy clubs.
Yeah.
And then I'm not even concerned about, oh, is this joke too edgy will they not put me on? Is it too offensive? You can just be you.
Yeah.
You can just take the lens cap off and show the world all the work you've been doing for this many years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice because I've started to put all my stuff on YouTube. I've started putting clips up on Instagram. And there's this groundswell of people being like, this guy's like great, or oh my God, like how am I just now discovering him? And it feels validating because I was hitting my head against a wall that I just didn't fit in through traditional, or just the gatekeepers. I just wasn't the casting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm in some like demo black hole. My name's Fahim Anwar. I'm Afghan American, but I do very observational, regular shit.
Yeah.
But it's not like they can look at me and be like, oh, all of India will subscribe to Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm not a business play other than just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to that category, nobody does it better. And I truly mean that. When you think of someone, I've watched two versions of your set. I've watched you enough that I've watched two versions of what happens, which is one, people get on board with you immediately and they love everything that you're saying, and by the end of the set, it's amazing. And then the other one is people are not as on board with you initially, and it still has the same result by the end. And so it's just when it comes to just like I like to look at like sets or comedy as almost like it's like. Audiences when they're watching comics, they're like, what's the game? What's the thing? Like what's the character or the POV or the game that they're playing right here? And it's so easy with you. You're someone who's so like, you're physical and animated, and you kind of hit the stage the exact same way. You know that you could drop in on Faheem's set and it's literally like he was on stage for a minute or he was on stage for 10. He's at the end, he's at the beginning, that's what's kind of like, that's what's just kind of amazing. It's just like, it's almost like pushing like a play button, and it's just like, here's just this funny animated thing, So, people are, they do almost need to be like, what's the game? What's the thing? I understand this lens that this person's coming from. And so when you say like, that you didn't fit, I mean, it's almost better that it, because in this way it's served you, just like you have so much respect from so many comedians because you've just been so funny for so long. It's just, you've been gatekept. You've been, just like we were talking about in Austin, where it's just, it's so hard to feel like you're it's so hard to feel like you're just it's binary. It's like, well, there's this, or it can go this way. And then that's the only way that those people think.
Yeah. And it's very cool how now, even like what you're doing, just reaching to the fans directly, there is no hoops to jump through. There are no gatekeepers. And also this category that didn't really matter for a lot of the casting that I didn't fit in or whatever. The internet allows you to reach people who like funny.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. Mm-hmm. And you can't just put all of them into a box. It's just, what's nice about the internet, you put it out there and you find the audience very organically.
So what's your process for when you are going to post something? Are you someone who you obsess about how it looks, you obsess about how it comes out, or you're just like, you know what, I'm servicing the work on stage. That's what people want to hear from me. So that's what I'm going to put out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it is where I'm at now. I think with social media, you sort of, what are your buckets and how do you refill them and make it easy, sort of, that you can do? Because sometimes if the bar's too high, you get discouraged and you won't put things out there. But like, what are your buckets and what are your strengths? I write a lot, I get a lot of ideas and I'm just always doing new stuff. And so I started doing this show called Faheem Works on Stuff, and his friends dropped by, which you got to do.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I asked you in Austin, but it's the 18th at the store. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I book it every podcast I do. I'm just like, this is an ambush because it's very public. If you say you don't do it, I'm just sad for the rest of the podcast.
I'm out of town.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I postpone it. Can I bring it to you? So like halfway during your show, you go, guys, this is very unorthodox. I said I would do his podcast. I didn't know that I had a tour date. So you don't know who he is. It's Fahim Anwar, but I'm going to do his show. So he's going to like take over for 20 minutes and then he's going to bring me out. And everyone's just like, what? Why? I'm a Drew Lynch fan. I don't know. Who's this guy? No, he's my friend. I vouch. He's funny. Like, you're going to see less of me. I know you paid a lot of money for a ticket, but like, it'll be a fun. The Yelp reviews are just wild. They're like, I like before the format went to shit. But I'll get you on when you are in town. Yeah. So
please, you have to continue the conversation. You have to get me out of it, otherwise I'll just continue to laugh at him. You can, like,
just painting the worst tour idea scenario.
We're talking in Austin. You're describing Just for Laughs, and I'm like bowled over laughing. He's just like, no, let's showcase in Canada. Let's get it's the biggest showcase of your life. Let's go.
Because we're hanging out at Joe Rogan's club, right? We're in the bar, Mitzi's. It's a very cool speakeasy hangout afterwards. And then we're just catching up. It was fun to talk, And then you mentioned, you go, oh, I like that clip where you're talking about Montreal on your podcast. And this is a testament to the changing of media and the times and all that, because when I was a younger comic, I would be terrified to talk the way that I was talking about Montreal in this podcast clip I did. But the gist
and and you weren't bad mouthing them. You were just saying
it's just real. It's like what everyone knows. I go, it's odd that the most important show of your life is in French Canada. You know what I mean? Like the hottest comedy scene is LA and New York. All these people got to do is call the comedy book, like, hey, who's good? You're there every day. Who's good? Okay. And okay, how do you, okay, thank you. That's how they do their fucking job. That's how easy it is. But instead, they go to French Canada once a year to watch 5 minutes of a kid in his early 20s, trying not to pee his pants. And then they'll like cast him on Saturday Night Live off of that one, or they won't. They'll be like, this guy will never work in this town again. Like one show? Why are you flying so fucking far away? Take an Uber. It's like an 8-minute Uber to the Comedy Store, the Improv. You don't even have to go. Hey, Rita, who's good? Hey, Emily, who's good? Thank you. But instead, book me. I'm going to Montreal. I want a first class. I want to hemorrhage this company $10,000. Waiting for their luggage. It's just such an inefficient way. And then like, oh, they didn't get his Arby's joke because they don't have Arby's in French Canada. You know what I mean? Like now you have to comb over your set for what works in French Canada. It's just bizarre. So I mean, I was just venting to you then like I am now. But this is shit I would never say when I was a younger comic because that was the only way you could get seen. But now the internet exists, so it's Hollywood's got a limp dick, dude.
Yeah.
They got a giant limp dick when it comes to comedy. Like it's impressive, but only when it was hard back in the day. I always think that's so funny. Like if you have like a monster cock and you can't get hard anymore, that's gotta be sad.
When it's doing that thing where it's like...
No, not even that, because it's like seeing T-Rex bones. Like you know it used to be great. Or it's like a muscle car with no engine. Or like the Batmobile with no fuel. It's just... The potential is there.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's a relic of something that was fearsome. Yeah. I don't know how this relates to Montreal. I don't know if I'm going to be asked back to the festival. I guess I can return my French Rosetta Stone. Yeah.
Oh, bro. Yeah. It's, but it is something that is, I mean, you've been doing comedy for how long?
Like 20 years at this point.
That's crazy.
But that's what's beautiful about what's going on. I'm still, like, even though it's late and stuff, the things that are happening now, at least I am alive on the timeline where this shift it's not too late. You know, it's still viable. And that, like guys like you, Joe List, Mark Norman, it's very cool to see these people who weren't getting play. Even Schultz, who's like one of the biggest guys in comedy right now. I remember when Hollywood wasn't fucking with him.
Yeah.
People weren't fucking with just so many comics. And this is given a viable, it's just straight to the people. There's no, all that bullshit doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And you can just be funny.
Yeah.
You can just be a funny comic and that's enough.
Yeah.
You don't even have to act anymore if you don't want to.
Yeah.
If it was the 90s and the 80s and stuff, if you were a stand-up, you would have to get on a sitcom because that was the only way to reach people. But now I'm just doing clips and shit.
Yeah.
And I was in Austin and 2 or 3 people were just like, "Oh man, I want your clips."
Yeah. Real
That's like the new TV, yeah.
Comedy savvy people who are just like, I'm in that algorithm. I appreciate funny stuff. This is the way they found you.
Yeah. Like that's the
amazing.
new TV. I mean, because we were so special focused for a while.
Yeah.
But now I think clips are kind of the new way people consume and especially discover new comedy.
What is it that you would say for why you even got into this? Like what? Because I mean, your parents are from Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and then you're from Seattle,
Yeah.
So, you know, what is it that like? I know you were an engineer before. Like, I mean, this is also fascinating because you know, your brain just works differently from the way that a lot of other comics might approach something because of your background. So I'm curious, like, when is it that decision was made for yourself, and was it a hard pivot and you're like, this is exactly what it was?
Yeah, I mean, I think when people hear my story, because I used to work at Boeing, I worked there for 3.5, 4 years, and then
seeing you with the headphones and hearing you say Boeing, I could really just see. I know you're not that guy.
Sure.
I know you're not these guys, but
you think that's what Boeing's about? Just like
no,
we're just like a school for this.
No. Oh no! Were they accidentally?
Yeah.
If
He fails.
If something hits,
That would be funny. It's like it's like a test, and the guy fucks up, and then 2 planes just kind of.
or the instructor
touch
who thinks
tips.
it's that serious.
Yeah. What are you doing? And just the pilot's like, it's not even flying. Just melt into each other.
Or is it the softest fender bender.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just saying is that the hat and the earbuds just really made me.
Yeah,
And you're
the
just saying
muffs.
Boeing,
I
yeah,
love
it was
that.
just, yeah. So, but no, you're an engineer for Boeing.
Yeah. So the romantic version, because this people
Sure.
kind of interpolate on their own. They'll be like, oh, you're probably working at Boeing, and then you got fed up, and you're a funny guy, and you were like, fuck this, I'm out of here. Like I just like tear the blueprints up, or I just break a ruler in half, and I take my tie off. Where's the nearest open mic? He's taking a plane. Like, hey, you can't. Fuck this job. I'm going to New York for my first. But it wasn't that. I mean, I was 18. I graduated high school, and I started doing it then that summer. So I started just doing stand-up every week after I graduated high school, and I kept doing it, and I just knew this is what I wanted to do, stand-up.
Wow.
Well, I think the jumping off point was SNL. I grew up on that, and I'm like, how do people get on that show?
Yeah, who is it that you watched? I mean, what the Adam Sandler era? Like,
I mean, yeah. It started with Sandler, Farley, Spade. Phil Hartman is a deep cut that I think he's underrated.
Yeah,
I loved Phil Hartman.
his character stuff is crazy.
And then, Will Ferrell and like Sherry O'Terry. And yeah, I just watch it all the time. And I go, how do people get on that show? And I researched it, and people got on via improv, doing UCB, Second City, Groundlings, or they were stand-ups. Like Spade was a stand-up, Norm was a stand-up, Sandler was a stand-up. So those were the 2 paths. And then I researched the improv schools, and you got to pay money. The legit ones are in New York, LA, and Chicago. I'm a kid in Seattle. It just didn't seem viable to, take these classes, pay money. My parents aren't super on board with it anyways. Stand-up is all dependent on you. I go, oh, that felt more right to me.
Yeah.
Because my success would be determined by how much I put into it, and I can count on me. I don't need other people to do it. So I'm like, okay, stand-up will be my path.
Yeah.
So then I was just doing that after high school, and then even going through college, I would do stand-up as well.
I mean, that's what I love about stand-up. I love that it's so singular.
Yes.
I mean, you're solely in charge of whether something does, or I mean, mostly you're in charge of something whether something does or doesn't succeed.
It's great. And I love that we can think of something today and then tonight we can try it.
Yeah.
It's crazy how few barriers there are between idea and execution.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Because so much of this other Hollywood stuff, like auditioning or whatever, I mean, like something came in yesterday, because sometimes auditions will come in and it's a cool thing. It's a comic relief in this horror movie, but then it's like 4 pages. I got it yesterday, like in the afternoon, and it's all this dialogue, and it says get the tape in by tomorrow. Yeah. And it's it's just like so much, and I have all this anxiety, and I go, I don't want to. It's not really right for what I want to do, anyways.
Yeah.
And it could be so much wasted effort.
Yeah.
And if you're an actor, great.
Yeah.
But I'm a stand-up. So
and is it just me, or is like our deadline's getting like sooner and sooner?
Yeah, we needed this yesterday. Where's your tape? Yeah. I go, what? And then it pops up in your, and then you have to find someone to read with you.
Yeah, that's
then you have
worst.
to tape yourself, and then 90% of the time you don't even get the shit.
Yeah, and you get mad at a friend because you're directing them for how they're reading, and you're like.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, it's cool to get these acting opportunities every now and then, but the frustrating part as a stand-up, because all the work we put into stand-up, we see a return on investment.
Yeah.
But so much of acting is 95% of it you don't get.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work that just goes into the ether.
I think self-tape should be the stuff that you should get to submit the stuff in between the takes. Where you're yelling at your
yeah. We like your take on the character in between takes,
where you are just furious at some
you're
person
accessing this anger for the character. You're like, yes, the character.
I can't tell you the number of times something personal, like where I've had to find somebody nearby where it was either a friend or I had to find, or my wife or whatever, and we have to read something, and like all stuff that's personal has to go on hold. So if you have a flight or whatever, you know what I mean? Like if you're in a fight or like you just did a thing, and there's like, all right, you make sure you giggle at the beginning of this.
Even though they don't want to giggle, they're like mad at you.
Yeah.
Look, I know we're having a thing, but I need you to giggle for the scene. Okay, we'll table this. We'll finish it later, but like Daddy needs to work.
And then you have to like go through this thing of like talking with the person if it's good when you're watching it back, but it's quiet. You're like quietly mad at each other. It's like, what do you think? And there's like, no, I think it's good.
It's good. The tough thing for me is because when you can self-tape, you can do a million takes.
Yeah.
When you used to go into the room, you get maybe 2-3 shots at it, and you're like, all right, take it easy. You can't be in there and do it 30 times, right? But when you self-tape, you can do 30.
Yeah.
And the trouble is, on the editing end, I can't tell the difference between take 12. Yeah. I get take blindness. I go, I don't know if this is good anymore.
Bro, I did an audition recently where it's a game show where basically they submit actual ideas, and like the audience has to decide if it's a real product or if it's not a product. Okay. So what I did, one of them was like edible like light bulbs. Okay. And so what I did is I went and got an empty box, and then I put tape over it, and it was called like eat your bulbs or whatever. And then I filled them with bugles, the bugles things. And I did 30 takes of being like, well, snack on these. And then I fucking ate some. I felt like a fat dude. It was just gross carbs, like, and it's bugles. So it was just like, I wanted something that was like, that had like a good crunch, and I ended up submitting like whatever the first take was, or but I did just so many, and I hated myself. I was so like, well, snack on these. It was just it was fucking bad.
Yeah.
So
well, normally when you do food, because I not get a part, they're in traffic for 3 hours every day.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Maybe let Leo take a private jet. Because he books. At least he books. He's efficient. But the one time I booked a commercial, it was for Wendy's. And it was for like it was a bacon something, but I'm Muslim and I don't eat bacon. But they would prepare half of it where it wasn't. It's so funny.
That's
like I'm
amazing.
splitting hairs here where like I will sell bacon to the white devil, but I won't ingest it. So God will let me into heaven. You can use my likeness to push bacon, but I'm not gonna. So it's funny. They would make special bacon burgers that half of it didn't have bacon, and I would always like. Oh, and they teach you how to eat the burger too. There's like a modeling, glamorous way to eat a burger, and it's just a fucking burger. You're like, let me eat the burger.
Yeah.
But there's someone on set. They go, you wanna curve your fingers because you don't want to be like you got to curve them. Yeah, you don't do this. No, that's gross, dude. That's what you want, that's aesthetic. This is like ballet.
Yeah.
That's just good lines. It's a good silhouette. So you kind of cradle the burger, yeah. And then you come over the top. This sounds so dumb, but she was in my ear the whole time telling me to
literally
do it.
just look like a humpback.
It's like a final scene in She's All That or something. Like I'm falling in love with this burger. You have to brush the hair out of the burger, and you take the glasses off the burger, and you go, I had no idea it was you the whole time. And you're supposed to like come over the top. So you come over the top.
Yeah. I mean, were you going under before?
Yeah, I was doing it submarine style. I was ad-libbing, and the director didn't like that. Because I did like a breached whale thing where I came out of the water. So yeah, you come over the top, and then you do so many takes that they gave you a spit bucket. So Oof. After each one, we go, they go cut, and go,
right.
So we were in a car. I had a bucket right here. The guy had a bucket there.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it was just filled with half-eaten burgers.
God.
So that's my one commercial, guys. And it was regional. It wasn't even national. So I would have maybe one person in Texas be like, hey, did I see you in a Wendy's commercial? Yeah.
Just a non-union.
I think I made like $2,000 or seemed like a lot at the time.
Yeah, I mean, $2,000 is a lot of money, but not for like someone telling you to.
Yeah, all that. Well, also, when you do a national commercial, sometimes it's a lot of money. People do a Toyota one, and it's $25,000 or $30,000.
It's crazy. There's comics that I'm sure we both know who just they make most of their living on commercials.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing stand up, but their
like, bread and butter is
commercials.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I forgot how I got to why was I talking about the commercial shit? Was it driving around or?
No, we got into self tapes and then you were just talking about how, and then I did the Bugles thing, and then you talked about caressing the burger and a breached whale.
Have you done a commercial or no?
I did. No, I've never done a commercial, but I remember doing commercial auditions a long time ago, and I remember my big struggle, at least, so I moved out here to do acting, and then once I had my softball injury, everything was just kind of fucked. I got dropped, and nobody wanted to represent me, and I can't fault them for that. You know what I mean? You don't want someone going into a acting room where the person reading is like stuttering, so where I'm like and they're just like, dude, I get it, just breathe. They can only say just breathe, so like just slow down and breathe so many times. If I'm like, no, this is more than what you're saying. So that was so I used to do like a lot of I used to do a lot of acting auditions prior to doing stand up, and I never wanted to do stand up. I always just admired it as like a as an art form, as I still do. But
I think it's a great kind of serendipitous thing because there's so much more power and leverage in stand up, and it's like owning your own business, whereas acting is great and stuff, but the older I get, you're just so beholden to so many other people, and it's not just one person. There's so many levels, like the producer, the writer, the director. There's so many people who can just say you're not right for it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you do stand up or you do podcasting, you're right for it every time.
Yeah.
Because it's you.
Yeah.
And all the work you put into it, you see a return on it.
Yeah.
And the time is tailor made for your schedule.
Yeah.
Whereas even you don't think about this stuff until you're older, but if you are a working actor, you're in Atlanta for 3 months, then you're in Australia for 4 months, and is that the life you want? If it is, great. But it's something I never really thought about. Like best case scenario, you're a nomad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, and I mean, there's so many comics who they want to do both, or I mean, but I don't know. It's like we're in a series of overcorrections too, where I think there's a lot of people who come from the digital side where they're also putting themselves in stand up, and you're like, listen, hey, like like some of us grinded in some pretty,
some taco shops.
Yeah, to some taco shops.
Get back to the burrito joint. You're a little early to the taco. Yeah, it is funny how for a lot of people, stand-up is their rock bottom, but it's our, you know what I mean? Like when Stormy Daniels, all that shit happens, you're like, I'll do stand-up. You know what I mean? Like, also, like, remember Screech? He was like doing stand-up, just like, when people don't have anything else to go, all right, I'll do stand-up. And you go, I would kill to do. Your rock bottom is my shooting for the moon.
Yeah. I think that's why Tom Brady will not do stand-up. It's because
that was so bizarre. That was out of left field. Is he really going to? It's so strange.
I think it's weird. I think someone reminded him. They were like, listen, people do stand-up. Like, when this next thing you do doesn't work, then you do stand-up.
That's a good point. He's too successful.
He's way too, like, it's too, but here's the thing is stand-up's at an all-time sexy right now. It's like, it's at an all-time sexy. So it's close, but I still think, like, just like the Stormy Daniels example, like, you have to almost think, like, that's why Tom didn't do it, is because.
Yeah. I think we have the reputation. Who's going to that Stormy Daniels show? It's almost just a P.T. Barnum on tour or something. You're just coming to see the circus. That's kind of what stand-up is. If it's a fall from grace,
yeah,
and they go, oh, they're doing stand-up, like, oh, cool, let's go.
I mean, in one way, though, I would say there's a lot of comics who, I don't know, can a comic? I mean, comics can get canceled, and they have, and then when that happens, or if something happens where it feels like Hollywood gets like upset and then they're like, we're not mad at you anymore. It's very much that. And in the meantime, stand up is like usually that thing that
is pretty the beauty of it. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, where the fans that you garner, they are yours. They are with you. So it's nice to know, because if you're not just totally in the Hollywood machine, if something happens with that shit, then you need a production crew. You need a cameraman. There's so many things that you need to do your livelihood. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about stand-up is that it's just you and a microphone and ideas, and will people pay for a ticket to come see you? Yeah. That's pretty clean.
When you watched stand up earlier, like when you were 18 and you were watching these people from SNL and stuff, like were there stand ups where you were like, this is who I want to be like, this is someone who I watch, and like this process is one that I enjoy the most, or I most closely identify with this person?
Yeah, well, because once stand up became a thing that I delved into, there were comics that I enjoyed. But it was never like I'm going to model myself. I think that's kind of what's great about, or I'm fortunate, or it's something that I like about my approach to comedy, is that I didn't have this rich history of stand-up. I didn't grow up with it. It wasn't until I was 18 that I saw Delirious, Eddie Murphy's Delirious, that stand-up became a thing to me. Yeah. I guess maybe I just never really noticed it until then. So my upbringing comedically was SNL, The Simpsons, and Conan. Wow. So Simpsons is the earliest, because you're a little kid, you're watching cartoons. Yeah. But what a great comedy teacher. Some of the best comedy writers and minds writing on that show. And in the prime. And it's absurd. And so The Simpsons I grew up with, SNL, and late night Conan, after the Tonight Show. Yeah. So that was sort of my comedy sensibilities, and that's how I came into stand-up. That was sort of my backbone. So it's not like I loved Bill Cosby, or, I mean, it's so funny whenever you mention. Yeah. Bill Cosby, prior, BR, before the race. I don't know. So I didn't have that sort of blueprint to kind of model myself at. So I sort of cobbled together whatever my style is that I don't think is...
It's not like anybody else.
Yeah, when people see me, I don't think they're like, oh, he's like such and such. Or so that's kind of cool.
It is great.
But when I got into stand-up, I loved... Pablo Francisco, David Cross, I love Chris Rock, Gaffigan, even Todd Barry would come into town. Tosh would come. I remember I emceed for him one time when he was still coming through comedy clubs.
Did you ever have someone who you worked with or open? I mean, you're at the store all the time. I mean, you filmed your special Hat Trick, which is amazing. That was there. I mean, it's a great idea, filming in all three rooms. All different material in each of the rooms. It showcases you. It showcases where you are, where people mostly find you, and where they can see like just you. Like you're. I mean, I mean, even before I was go into the store like that often. Like I saw you were on the lineups all the time. You were there every night, and you still are. It's amazing. But when you're at the store, you get to work with and bring up a lot of amazing, people who are, everybody's from different levels. Was there ever someone you met or brought up or worked with or opened for where you were shook? Because I struggle with that. I struggle with this. The podcast is my way of being social while still working. Because this is the longest conversation you and I have had. It's the longest conversation. Because on the scene, I'm introverted and I'm very so this is such a more controlled setting. I have a lot of peers of mine who, I get to hang with them and chat with them, but that environment isn't always conducive for why this conversation could happen. So I guess, what's my question originally is, what is it that have you ever had someone that was like, this is like shaking me?
Yeah, it is pretty wild. 'Cause the store is my workplace. I put in the time. I'm one of the guys now, but it creeps up on you and you forget, and you got to pinch yourself sometimes because I'll get a note and I'm bringing, I think I'm bringing somebody else up, but it's a pop-in. And I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And that's crazy just to know, we are coworkers on this night.
Yeah.
I bring him up. He's like, keep it going for Faheem. And that is cool. I've brought Louis up, it just happens all the time at the store. That's our workplace. It's Grand Central Station for so many great comedians. Yeah. They do the road and they come back and they work on their stuff. And then even just knowing, like people were telling me, Rock was in the back and he was like dying during it. That's like so cool. Because I can flash back to a time where I was just a fan. I wasn't even doing stand-up yet. Yeah. And to know that we're peers on different timelines now. Yeah. That's kind of cool and wild.
But you've never had one time where you were like thwarted almost by
I'm just wearing khakis and I pee my pants. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Chappell.
No, I don't mean that.
No. It's like my nightmare. I'm not even wearing pants when I look down. I go, what? Oh, please go off, alarm. Please go off. This isn't a dream? And they're power washing my name off the wall. Oh, he's so big. I blanked. Does anybody have spare pants? Get off.
No, Faheem, I mean.
What do you mean, like someone so big that it shook me?
I'm saying, like you see somebody in the green room and you're like, it made you nervous.
Well, that'd be funny. Like every one of these instances, I pee my pants. Like even in the green, I'm like, hey, what's up, man? That's cool, yeah. And I'm playing it cool, but I'm just peeing my pants. I have like a really cool facade, but I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. How long are you? You go to shoot that movie in England. Yeah, I've been there a few times. And then I'm like pooping my pants, dude. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna leave you guys to it. Like I totally didn't just like pee and shit my pants. And I go, can I get your number? Just hang out sometime. Just have some ideas, or we go through people if you want. But I just figured, let's link up sometime and then I'm actually like taking my sweater off and I'm tying it around my waist, like that's gonna hide the fact that I just shit my pants. So, it's cool seeing you. I'm a fan of your work, obviously. I don't know if you saw me tonight. I was at a taco place. It was close by. Well, the store is just it is a place. It's a pop cultural place, so that does happen occasionally. I think one time
where you pee and poop your pants.
I've been able to rein it in. I go to a diaper now. I come prepared. I'm not going to be surprised anymore. Like that's my solution. It's not keeping my fluids in.
It's the surprise that hurts.
It's the surprise. Like I know it's going to happen, but I'm prepared for it. I'm like Batman. I'm 3 steps ahead. I like how I liken me shitting and peeing my pants to being Batman. I really put a positive spin on it, huh?
You really did.
I'm like Batman. I wear a diaper now, so people don't know it's happening. I'm 5 steps ahead of you. And I put a car freshener in there so no one knows. Yeah. It smells like new car smell, I guess. So I was in the green room. It's funny enough, Robert Pattinson was in the green room.
Wow.
So he said hi and stuff. And
That's
I
crazy.
think he was hanging with Gerard that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting and crazy.
That's fucking wild.
And then John Legend was at the store, and Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce was there. I was gone that night. The frustrating thing is sometimes you don't go to the store one night and then you look on the gram the next day and you go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They were there?
Lil Wayne was there?
Yeah. Well, Tarantino was there and I was able to capture that. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Because I was filming my special, just capturing sets in different rooms. And then he was in the room and he saw, and we were able to, like, luckily the camera guy was still rolling from afar to like not spook him. And I still had a mic on. And then he was like, he came out and he's like, I want to talk to the cool guy. That's in the special.
Yeah.
So you see Tarantino coming out to like talk to me.
Yeah.
And then he's holding court talking to us and like some other comics. And when in his 20s, he said he would come to the store. He's a big comedy fan.
Yeah.
He's been there a few times.
Yeah.
He's like, I used to watch Kinnison. I would go into the main room and just watch. It was great. Yeah.
Wow.
He knows his comedy.
Wow.
He went into the bathroom and he would show the wallpaper and he was like educating. He's like, do you know who this is? And he would tell you, the backstory on this, because the Comedy Store has that wallpaper of famous old-timey comedians like Vaudevillian, and he's like, this is so-and-so, he worked on blah, blah, blah. He's just such a nerd on comedy, movie, TV trivia.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of your special is when you're talking in between your sets. Like it's like you talking, but it's B-roll.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so kind of
people
it's
mention
artsy.
that
Yeah. It's
in the
artsy,
comments,
but it's like,
because I really just wanted to capture a slice of life for what it's like to
that's
be
exactly how it comes off.
a stand-up You're tagging along with me to do my sets at the store.
Yeah.
Rather than, because I've done the special. My first special was for CISO, and then that went under. But then Comedy Central, it was on their YouTube. It still might be. I think it's on my channel too. The first one is called "There's No Business Like Show Business," and that's a traditional special. There's lights, a stage, sweeping cameras, an audience.
Yeah.
But it's very much, it's like very precious.
Sometimes I have two questions. One is sometimes I see you hat, sometimes I see you no hat. In the special, you have the hat. And how many times you done the Tonight Show? It's never hat, all suit. I was like, that's not. I was like, wait,
That'd be funny. I have like a
Faheem.
suit,
Yeah.
and then I have a hat. I keep it real.
Who's this guy?
That would be fun. I want to wear a suit and wear a fedora, like I'm in Smooth Criminal. Has any comic done that? Just worn like a zoot suit and doesn't address it. And then they have a pocket watch and they go, well, I got to wrap it up here. It's got the chain and shit. Well, this has been swell. This has been the cat's meow, but I've got to scram. Yeah, so sometimes the hat, sometimes not.
Yeah. Any reason for why? Any thought or reason for why you did it in the special?
You know what it was? I wanted it. I wanted to make it super easy, and then also my hair is kind of curly, so for continuity and stuff, it would have been hard to, like, the curly hair does unpredictable shit all the time.
Yeah.
And also I just wanted to be able to throw an easy thing on, hit the store. I didn't want to worry about my appearance.
Yeah.
It was about the comedy and just the jokes. So I'm like, it's easy to throw a hat on. It's easy to throw that outfit on.
Yeah.
Just go to the store.
Was there any reason or thought or even any control in how you went OR, main room, belly room?
Oh, the order?
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to start with the OR or the main room.
That's where it feels like it feels like you're so comfortable in the OR.
I love that room.
Yeah.
It's weird because when you first get past at the Comedy Store, the OR is this enigma that's very hard to crack. I'm very comfortable in it because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
But when you're new to it, you don't understand it. It's different than any other comedy club because you have to be. It's about being real and connecting with people first before the jokes or anything. They can. The original room at the Comedy Store, the audience in that room, the feng shui of it, whatever it is, they can just sniff artifice. You have to be. Whereas if you're playing the Improv in Irvine and it's packed, you can hit play. and just be a guy doing great jokes. But in the original room, it's pretty stripped, and people can tell if you are a human and there.
Yeah.
Because if you're like a robot doing jokes, they can't like receive it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is it that you cracked that, or how is it that you came to learn that?
It's just doing it a lot, but also they would have this. I don't know if they still do it. I think they do. It's just it's sort of Mitzi. It's legacy of Mitzi Shore's training program, kind of. What a great play space and gym for us to all develop. But this thing happens where when you get passed, you get late time slots because it starts at 9 and goes till, I don't know, 12 or 1. It's a long ass show.
Yeah.
And it's a different comic every 15 minutes. There's no MC. So that's the other thing too. Every other comedy show, there's an MC who does some time up top, brings up feature, hey guys, blah, 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 brings up, or even if it's showcase style, like we're doing the Improv tonight, there's an MC.
Yeah.
And they come in between each act and they bring up the next comic. But at the Comedy Store, comic goes up, does 15 minutes, then brings up the next comic.
Yeah.
They go up, do their 15 minutes, it's called tag team.
Yeah.
And when you do tag team, there is no resetting of the room because an MC kind of resets.
Yeah.
It's like bowling. It resets the frame.
Yeah.
Tag team, you learn how to energy shift. I think that is the greatest strength of the Comedy Store, is that it gives you this extra tool outside of joke writing that is judoing energy.
Yeah.
Which sounds shishi or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like you can pick up on the vibe of the room and you know what level to do your joke in. You go, okay, they're kind of jazzy tonight, they're chill. I'm gonna throw this one away, or I'm gonna ramp up into it. I can't. Hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, anybody? So you got to be present. It teaches you to be present.
Is that your thought right before you go on stage? Like, do you have what's your thought as you get right up to going on stage?
Kind of like, okay, what do I want to open? Like, what's my set? What do I want to do? But then also be present. So maybe something happened earlier in the set to piggyback off of that. Yeah. But then I think it's just being able to pivot, being able to roll with things, not being shaken.
Yeah.
But so when you get past, you get these late time slots, and it's a different show every 15 minutes because everything culminates to the peak of the show, like the sweet spot, and then you're going up when you're a young comic, maybe 4 after the peak.
Yeah.
And there's pockets of people. It's pretty sparse, and when you first start doing it, you do show energy, but it's like putting a wild horse in water. You know how they go when a wild horse is just bucking around, they put them in water so that it suppresses them.
Yeah.
Getting those late time slots, if you're too animated and not real and all that stuff, it centers you. It makes you present. It makes you being able to perform for 5 people, 12 people. And then you can take a little taste of that when you do those lessons. Go miles once you start getting in the sweet spot and you start touring and stuff. Yeah, so the store informs it. You can't help but learn because you do it over and over again.
Yeah. Did you ever have something that happened during a set where you immediately when it happened or right when you got done, you were like, oh, I learned from that?
Yeah, this thing would happen. I would have glimpses. It's almost like being able to control your superpower or something, because I wasn't there yet, but sometimes something would happen unpredictable because I would be on autopilot a little bit when I would always have like funny jokes or set pieces, but I was like a guy doing stand-up. I wasn't here,
Yeah.
And sometimes something happens, there's a heckler or there's something that forces you to be immediate. And my brain would just kind of, it was like a lightning bolt. Sometimes it would be like amazing. Like whatever the stream of consciousness thing I did, and I'm able to bury this person, but it would be so streaky. I couldn't harness it, or it would almost be like a Tourette's thing, like a comeback Tourette's that's like brilliant, but you can't harness it, And then doing the store, I think it just taught me I can take a beat. Because I thought it just had to be everything, like you can collect your thoughts.
Yeah.
And so just knowing to not be so knee jerk, like a reaction, to kind of like sit with it, formulate it, to control that power.
Yeah.
Because I think the top of intelligence thing is like a strength of mine, and just being able to kind of sit in the pocket, and yeah, that's been a great lesson from the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want it to sound. I think that what I've observed is there's a lot of comics who they can just change the energy in the room by deciding to not do something as well. Rather than just choosing to do something, choosing to not do it.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like having the strength or having the experience or the bandwidth to be able to go against what that natural instinct is.
I mean, an example of that is sometimes you're doing a show and then someone's kind of like chiming in a little bit, and you do that mental math. You go, do I address this or do I just plow over them?
100%.
And there have been times where I go, okay, it's light enough where I can just steamroll over them.
Yeah.
Like I'll do my act, I'll get the laughs, and it'll drown them out. And they're not being disruptive enough where I have to address it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you have to, you're not being real and in the moment. And it's so you're like, what's going on? Like, where are you guys coming from? Or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Have you ever, you don't strike me at all as an angry individual, but have you ever had something on stage where you got angry? Where there was something where you were like, fucking.
What? Yeah, I normally don't. But they got to be pretty egregious.
Yeah.
They have to. It's almost like a vampire inviting you in. Like with a heckler. You have to be so over the top that you're inviting me in to let this me out.
100%.
Because then the crowd is on your side.
Yeah.
If it's in a gray area,
Yeah.
you can lose the crowd.
Yeah.
If you are it's almost like dropping an atomic bomb on a fly. And people are like, hey, why are you?
Yeah.
That's not cool. And then they turn on you.
Yeah.
You go, but he.
Yeah.
So they have to really be
Yeah.
a WWE heel. And everyone's like, yeah, fuck you. Get out of here.
I did a set last night, and you can just tell, like I can just feel it just before I'm going on stage. There's someone who she's chatty, but she's talking in a way that's like she's just in so much agreement, but she's so loud, and that's one of those things that's just like, all right, well you're it's a scene now, and I don't know your lines, but we're gonna navigate this and we'll figure it out. And it's almost like you make it seem like what they're saying is still somehow part of, like, oh, we're so in agreement, and I totally disagree with what you're doing. But
right, it's a reluctant comedy duo when they are. That's the tough one. When they are a supportive heckler, it's hard.
Yeah,
because I've been there. Yes. Yeah. And then somebody be like, yeah, right? And then hopefully they like get the idea, or you placate them with the yeah, right?
Yeah.
If they keep on, you can't be like, listen, lady, a lot of people have been to Whole Foods. We don't need to do this. I had a flow going. I know. Yeah.
How does your family feel about you doing stand up? Are you an only child?
No, I have a brother.
You have a brother?
Yeah.
Older?
Yeah.
What does he do?
Dentist.
There
Killing
it is.
it.
Yeah.
Killing
He's got
it.
all your parents' approval.
It's kind of nice, He took the heat off of, look, you won a championship. You don't.
But I mean, the fact that you're on the Tonight Show, the fact that you have a special, like there's so many things that I feel like you can point to that your parents could be like.
Yeah, I mean, I just had this thought. It'd be funny, like that impresses my dad. Like, you have a YouTube special? Wow, so many views. Super thanks. I saw people give you super thanks. That's so. It's free, huh? So you make no money? Yeah, no money, but like a lot of exposure. That's great. Oh, I heard you get free meals when you do shows sometimes. Yeah, I get a burger sometimes when I do the show. And then like I'll do 12, and if it's going well, they'll give me 13 minutes. They'll let me do an extra minute. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad we moved from Afghanistan for this. sometimes I used to be there'd be comedy posters and it would say and more, but like now they put my name on the comedy on the posters, and my font is getting bigger. Sometimes I do festivals and it used to be 9-point font, but I think I'm up to 10 or 11. I'm not at the top yet, but like you can make out my name. You don't need magnification anymore. Wow.
This character,
supportive
so
immigrant comedy dad.
Wow.
Do you know Shane Gillett? Yeah.
Wow. Oh. Yeah. Are they fairly
content with the decisions now?
I guess content, or are they underwhelmed, or are they past underwhelmed with it?
I think we're in a good place now.
But I don't have immigrant parents, but there's so many of my friends, so many comics
the struggle's real
who have that, and that is just
it's tough.
So
it's hard enough navigating this space when everyone is on board with you doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When everyone's like, "We love you, follow your dreams." It's fucking hard even with that. Imagine trying to do that and you're throwing your life away. Like they found heroin in my dresser or something.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, I love comedy. Jokes make me feel alive. Is it worth it? You bring shame to the family. Yeah, I think every family member kind of got on board at different points. My brother's been on board for so long. And then
he's a fan of your comedy?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. And then also just, I think it's neat for him just sort of looking at the trajectory, following the career.
Yeah.
You know? And then my mom, I did this movie with Tina Fey. I had a small role in it. But then I got to go to the premiere in New York, and then I brought my mom to do red carpet, and that was so magical for her.
Yeah.
She got to meet Margot Robbie and Tina Fey, and she was on board after that.
Yeah.
Because that felt very real. And then my dad probably didn't come around until 2 years ago, maybe a year or 2 years ago.
Wow.
And doing the Tonight Show and bringing them out, that was kind of the final nail in the everything's okay coffin. Like that was me just sealing it.
Yeah.
Which happened maybe 3 months ago or 4 months ago. But for my dad, he's practical. He's nuts and bolts. He's house, finances, car, stability.
Yeah.
Until you have that.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit about.
It's interesting.
Oh, you did a guest star on you do like nobody cares.
Yeah.
But I think I had this writing job for the CBS sitcom, and that was like, he could wrap his head around going into an office, sitting at a table, being somewhere for 8 hours, and having health insurance and stuff. That makes sense to him.
Of course.
Us going on stage and talking to a microphone, that's bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Which is interesting that he's like, I mean, I feel so many parents are this way, where they're just like, it has to be this, and then I can start to see the evidence. There's actual evidence of something.
Totally. So he needed hard evidence.
Yeah.
And I think he has enough of it. He's still not like, he would still love if I was a doctor or something like that. But I think that fear isn't there anymore. Or it's less there. This feels more stable.
Has your dad ever laughed at something that you've done on stage? I imagine he's laughed at you on
I don't
stage,
know.
And your parents speak? Your parents speak Farsi?
Yeah.
And they
English
speak English
too?
as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's one of those things, because it was kind of contentious. Just me doing, like, we love it. We have a great relationship and all that. But I always liken me and my dad's relationship to Professor X and Magneto. We both have a love for each other, but we just have very different viewpoints when it comes to mutants. You know, and by mutants I mean comedy, right? Because Professor X and Magneto were boys.
Yeah.
But then they just kind of had diametrically opposed opinions on how they should approach mutant relations amongst regular humans, you know? Because I'm really doing a hard pivot into like X-Men here. But Professor X is more of the like, we need to work with them. We need to show. And then Magneto's like, we need to smite them. we are the
Right.
superior, you know, and you're
Right.
not going to come together on that.
Right.
And so that's how we were with comedy.
Interesting.
We love each other in every other regard, but just sort of like, oh, I think there's a future here. I'm good at this. It makes me happy and all that. But then it's like, you need to think about your life and,
Yeah.
and money, and, you know, you can't keep on wasting time. But now that's less relevant because I have enough things to show for it.
What I love about you and is your frequency of like you're when we're talking about energy, your energy is just so like this. It's just so and but there are so many comedians and so many times in comedians' careers where there's a moment of sadness or a moment of just loss, or you're just like you're almost you're destitute. You're just feeling like you're stuck and you're aimless. Was that ever anything for you ever?
You mean the peaks and valleys of being a comedian or a person?
I can't imagine that you're someone who ever, had a moment where it was like a divot, like like I said, your frequency is just so all the time. But of course, like, I've only known you more recently, and
Right.
I've only, and I've, I haven't been doing comedy nearly as long as you have.
Well, I've realized everybody has peaks and valleys, no matter who you are. And I think I'm fortunate that my valleys aren't they aren't as deep, I think, as other people's. Like, I still have them.
Yeah.
Some days I wake up and just like, not where you want to be, say career-wise, and but then I'm able to kind of get out of it. And luckily,
What is it that you do to get out of that?
I think just like live life and just do what you can, and then you've been through it so many times to understand that, oh, I've felt this way before.
Yeah.
This is I
just a
get
muscle
out
of
of
it.
it. It's part of it. Go to the gym. Do what you can. You're working towards it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just accepting it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point? I don't give up every day. I feel like that.
Yeah.
I just go, okay, I feel like this today. Understanding I'm in a valley, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think I'm also, this sounds dumb, but I think I'm very fortunate that I think I respond very positively to music. I almost feel like music is an antidepressant for me.
Wow.
A lot of the music I listen to is very uplifting, dancey, upbeat, and it's very hard. It kind of switches my mood very easily. And I like dancing by myself sometimes. And
That's amazing.
yeah. And also
You can be hacked with such a
music,
simple
yeah,
thing.
honestly, because I'll throw Spotify on. I'll go to my Discover Weekly. If there's a new great song that I love, it's
So if you walk in on a dude having sex with your chick, if they're like,
it's a good song.
If it's a good,
if they're fucking to a good song, I go, I'm not
How
happy
could you
about
do
this, but I get it. I just wish we could have talked about it a little. Also, can you send, like, when you finish, can you like send this to me? Yeah, if you play the right song with your fucking my future girlfriend. It's water under the bridge, dude.
also a great song.
I go, what's going on? And then I like moonwalk out.
This could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. It'll kind of snap me out of it. Music is kind of my antidepressant. Not that I ever get so deep that I need to be pulled out of it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it does. I'm affected by it. And also I just like I like being in a state of play, even just conversationally, and it's just fun, you know.
That's your fun.
It's fun. I like that's like what I like to rev at. I just like having fun.
Yeah.
But not in an, you know, it's interesting. I was with some people yesterday. I know you, so I can be me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm with new people that I don't know, they would have no idea that I do stand-up comedy. I seem like an accountant.
Yeah.
There are some podcasts I do where I just seem very unfunny and like an accountant. I'm very energy, vibe, circumstantial. Like, I'm not fully me on everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the way I was raised and the immigrant upbringing. You never wanted to like stand out too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wanted to blend in. You wanted to be respectful. You wanted to.
And so that's something you do, or you still
I just
say
inherently do it, you know? Like, if hey, we're meeting 8 of my friends from, like, they would have no idea that I do stand up.
Wow.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Can you do my taxes or something?" You know, because I just lay in the cut. I don't know these people.
You are like Batman.
I'm like Batman. I won't shit my pants. I won't. They're not big enough for me to.
He's doing it right now.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where some comics are like bouncing off the walls no matter who they meet. I gotta get to know you a little more before I can.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of lay in the cut and I observe because they're not my friends. They're
Yeah.
there, so I'm just kind of observing what's going on.
Yeah, and again, like that's what I love about the pod. I love this setting so much. I'm just extroverted enough to want to get to know someone and learn about them and meet them, figure out their interests and things like that. But still so introverted enough that like if it's in a group of people where
Same way.
Yeah.
Like I'll do a thing where if I'm supposed to meet with a buddy, I want to have dinner with them. And we're planning on it, and they go, "Oh, I brought so and so." I hate that shit because I was emotionally prepared for just me and him. I had conversations that there was like an agenda that I wanted to. Who's this rando? Like even if it's not a rando, like even if I love the person they're bringing, I'm like, you changed the vibe, dude. This isn't what we agreed upon. I wouldn't have came if I knew it was gonna be a threesome. I thought it was a you and me thing. I don't like new things. I want to know what's going on. I don't like surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. It's so funny. Like I think that if we were comfortable in so many environments, we wouldn't be doing what it is we do.
That's a good point.
You know,
and also it's counterintuitive, but I was trying it as a bit one time where I go, I'm an introvert, which I think is baffling to a lot of people because they think stand-up comedians are just bouncing off the walls all the time and being on. I go, there's a time and place for that. When I have jokes I want to do, like I love doing it, and I can talk to people, I can be personable and all that. But my baseline is introvert.
Yeah.
Not in like under my covers, but like I charge my battery by being by myself and doing my own shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I go, I hate it when this happens. Sometimes people will be like, you don't talk that much. I fucking hate you. You know what I mean? Like if you tell an introvert, you don't really talk. That's not going to make them talk more. It's just going to make them think you're a fucking asshole. And I want to be like, you got to talk too much, dude.
Yeah.
You talk way too much.
Yeah.
100%. You just say words.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of dying and you think like hearing those words ricochet off a wall is going to make you immortal or something. Or you're not comfortable in the silence.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I just hate how there's this bias towards introverts. Mm-hmm. Like if someone's quiet, they're quiet.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't really talk. You seem like a cool guy. You just say it how it is. I'm going to talk more. Thanks for I didn't know that I wasn't talking that much. I'm a grown man and I didn't realize I wasn't talking very much. Sometimes I forget to breathe and talk. So thanks, dude. Can I watch your old high school football highlights?
Yeah, my thing is I can't listen to other people greet each other. People I don't know. You're ever sitting somewhere or you're writing or whatever, you're in the lobby of somewhere and you hear, I can't fucking stand it.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't hear words at all. I just hear their fucking energy and their tone.
That's a good point. Sometimes, because I'll eat by myself, when I'm on the road, or I don't mind. I'll go to like a restaurant by myself, and sometimes I'm sitting next to a first date, and to me, I almost feel like I should get my money back. Just that I have to be exposed to. Yeah, it's cool. Stephanie, how's Trevor? Yeah, I got off work and so like, what do you do for fun? And I'm just trying to have a meal, and I have to listen to this. I'm nervous. I'm not even on the date, and I'm on pins and needles. Yeah. Have you been to this restaurant? Yeah, it's pretty good. And, well, yeah, I graduated with a communications degree, and like I want to get into. And I have zero investment in this.
Yeah.
And I'm having to listen to a guy try to impress a girl. It's just I have too much anxiety. I'm sorry, you sat me next to a first date, and this is unbearable. Do you have anything in the counter?
It all of a sudden feels like you're at a job interview that you're eating at, and now you're that that weird executive who's just eating and not a part of the interview.
It is interesting too, like how I'll be at a brunch place sometimes, and there's two girls just talking about very intimate things, and I'm sitting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm right there.
They
I don't even
spare
have
no
AirPods
details,
in.
bro.
I don't even have AirPods.
Yeah.
They think just because we're facing the same way that my ears don't work. It's crazy. I can't believe they're talking about this stuff.
No, I've
They're
spare no
this far away from me.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Like sex stuff, guys, and I'm.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that like somewhere someone could be saying that about you. It's just crazy.
That's true.
Well, I think we're pretty much. What are we at, Isaac?
119.
119. All right. Well, we'll.
Oh,
we'll
nice.
wrap
Oh,
up
double
here.
water.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you. Good, because I have just a few more questions.
Do you
Hang
want to
on.
remove the towel or not?
Hmm.
Do you want to remove the towel?
Yeah, I don't know if it's all dry. There we go.
Oh, nice.
That works.
Oh, nice.
People are
I
gonna be
wanted
like,
to-
the continuity. How did it get filled? I got a new water. Okay, it's not we weren't jumping around cuts wise. He spares no expense. 2 waters. I've never done a podcast where I got replenished.
We send you slippers too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be cool if it was like a fuel tanker, where like it actually just comes mid while I'm talking, and just hydration without having to stop for sips. You ever see those the refueling? It's pretty badass. I want to do one where we're just IV bags.
When occasionally we cut to the wide and
Yeah.
you see our IV bags.
I want to get so big I don't sip anymore. Just go straight in and go, what are you using, your lips?
That and the catheters on the other side.
Like, I don't want to.
Full in, out.
Yeah, that's so funny that you're so rich that you think that's like,
That's the epitome of money.
yeah, not using your autonomous nervous system anymore. Just I don't poop myself anymore. I don't use my muscles. I don't use my lips to drink. You're just like the pod in the Matrix. That would be funny. Just he's like the greatest screenwriter. He's just in this slime in a pod. 2 best friends need to go on a road trip. He used to be a writer's assistant, and he just has like no eyebrows, and he's like, they give him a topic. We're going to see the Oracle. It's a buddy comedy. One is a live wire. The other one is introverted. They need to go to. They want to have dinner with Joe Rogan, and that's their life's mission. They want to have elk and sliced jalapenos, so they do a road trip. It's actually not a bad movie.
It's not actually. It's fucking way better than anything people spend time to work on. Which, speaking of, I want to know what is your, like, it sounds so fucking stupid. It sounds silly to say
What?
process, but what gets you into like a funny place? What gets you into like that place where you're writing, and how often is it that you're doing it? How, like, when is it during the day? You know, how does it work for you?
Yeah, I get that question a bit. I think because I put so much stuff out. Some people will be like, "Oh, do you write a lot?" Or you must. I like how much you write. And it's weird. It doesn't feel like I'm writing. I'm almost just putting a bucket under the faucet.
Yeah.
I've trained myself to be that way. I think because the reason I do stand up, and even in my early years when I wasn't as good at doing it, I just loved new bits. So I was always chasing a new bit. I liked a new bit more than doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but some people love crushing, and they kind of get addicted to the adoration and the decibels of crushing.
Right.
Whereas I get my thrills from something that was nothing that is now something.
Of course.
A joke working for the first time is
it's the
my
best.
magic.
Yeah.
I'm chasing that constantly. So in doing that for 20 years, I kind of develop neural pathways, or I know my language. I get better at it the longer you do it. And now I'm at a point where I just live life, and I'm good at recognizing when I get a novel idea. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, there's something. It's enough for me to pull my phone out and jot a few words down to capture it. So I don't sit down unless it's like quite a few thoughts that I kind of got to clean up real quick. It's faster just to go on my laptop and maybe write it. But it's generally I'm bopping around town. I'm doing whatever I need. Something strikes me, and then I jot it down, and I kind of forget about it immediately after. And when I have a show or something, I'll kind of go over what my new things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let me try that. So it's just about giving yourself the opportunity to at least try the idea at a later time.
Yeah.
Capture it.
Yeah.
Like at minimum, capture the idea, log it. And sometimes if it's really good, you naturally marinate on it for a bit, and then more angles of it present itself.
Yeah.
Because you're just naturally thinking about this topic.
Yeah.
And it fleshes out on itself. And then part of it is when you do it, like tonight, we're doing a show and the audience is your editor. Mm-hmm. So much of stand-up comedy is just listening and editing. Editing
it's my favorite
is
part.
Bigger than anything.
It's my favorite part. When people ask her, like, when they're like, "Are you a stronger writer or performer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a good editor." That's my favorite part of it.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Because maybe just like one part of a joke works, and the rest of it you lose them. You go, okay, I keep this, and then a thing will stem from it. Maybe 2 weeks later, or you keep on. Mm-hmm. For me, jokes and stuff are like Lego pieces to me. So I'll have maybe like 2 pieces, and then it's not enough for a bit. It's not long enough. It's like 1 or 2 jokes.
Yeah.
But then if I have enough red pieces, I go, okay, this is a chunk now. This is a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I really appreciate you having the time to be able to come do the pod. I'm
Yeah,
excited
of
for
course. Thanks for having me.
I'm always watching. I'm always learning from you, and I loved your special. I love so much about your approach to it, and you're just killing it, man. So I just
thanks, ditto. It's cool to like watch you more at the Improv. You know, last time we were there, it's very cool to catch a whole set, and then also watch what you're doing on the road from afar and building your fans and the way you reach them. That's like great for me to see that as well. Just it just reinforces the vibe I already get, kind of where we're headed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for spending time with me, guys. One more time, Fahim Anwar, either way.
Either way.
It's farce. And check out his special on YouTube. It's called Hat Trick, filmed at the world famous Comedy Store. I love world famous. It is one of. It's actually one of the few places that is world famous. You know, when you go to like a random city and it's like world famous Frank's hot dogs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't fucking know Frank. Anyway, check out Fahim Anwar's special. He's absolutely hilarious, and you can follow him on Instagram, where he has clips literally of his stand up every freaking day. They're hilarious. At Fahim Anwar.
Yeah, perfect.
There it is. All right. Good. Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
TikTok, Fahim Anwar comedy, because somebody took Fahim Anwar, so I had to. I don't know what he's putting out. I should just look at the Fahim Anwar TikTok.
Yeah. I follow both. That guy.
Really? I like that guy better, actually.